Welcome back. We're sitting here with our LPS Dean of Students, Mr. Robinson, a familiar and well-loved face. So we'll just get right to it. Mr. Robinson, what is your role at LPS and what tasks and duties do you perform?
I am the Dean of Students at LPS. My overall task is to ensure that we have an environment, a safe environment, which is conducive to learning and to making sure that students are able to reach their educational goals.
Thanks. Who do you report to in your work, and who reports to you in this work?
Let's see. I think the overall the first person I report to is Dr. Waters, who is the superintendent of schools, and then the person who I report to directly would be the principal of LPS Oakland, and that is Ms. Creer. That's who I report to directly. And then who would report to me? I think from an administrative level, Mr. Waters is somebody who kind of reports directly to me and who kind of helps me implement whatever I need to implement. But I think overall, whenever there's any sort of a problem on the campus, I think everybody kind of lets me know what's happening, so then I can kind of address whatever needs are. So you
get reports from students directly as well as teachers. Absolutely. And at all levels? Okay.
Yes, yeah. So, yeah, at any, and there's even actually people over at our neighboring school, Castlemont High, their campus officers, their dean of students, their principal also.
Thank you. So then, who supports you in this work? You may have anything to add.
I think my direct support would be Mr. Waters. Mr. Waters is the person who carries out a lot of the duties that I'm not able to oversee directly. That is things such as like the overall supervision of the campus, things such as compiling the lists of tardies in the morning, compiling some of the attendance reports in the afternoon, making sure that kids are coming to detention, those kind of things. Sort of the nuts and bolts pieces of the job.
Thanks. How do you currently assess your effectiveness or know if you're doing a good job?
That's a tough one. I think a lot of times, as of right now, I'll go back. I think last year, my goal was to limit the amount of referrals that was happening. I looked at it more from a standpoint of giving students the ability to have better understandings of what was expected of them from their teachers, and also helping teachers kind of figure out the best way to effectively engage with students. So moving forward, I think that I look at it from a standpoint of not if there's a conflict or an issue, but what the aftermath of that is, like how effectively a student is able to get engaged back into the classroom. If a behavior continues or not, if it's something that I've addressed and it continues, then I tend to think that I need to do better work on that. But if we've been able to address something and it's been kind of clear and people are able to move forward, then I can look at that from, I guess I was successful in helping resolve the conflict.
So what I'm hearing is that instead of focusing on numbers per se of reducing referrals or those kind of things, you're focusing on the person and making sure that all members of our community are feeling safe and included and moving in the right direction?
That's exactly right. Now, there is a part of it, like I do a audit of the amount of referrals after a certain, after semester and after quarters. I do look at those numbers. And in that, I just look at the time that the majority of referrals are happening. I look at, where those referrals are coming from, like if it's a specific teacher or a group of teachers, or if it's in a specific student. So then when I look at those numbers, then I can kind of focus in on areas where I think that there's concern. But I think overall, I more or less am looking at the individual, from the teacher's perspective, from the student perspective.
Okay, thank you. And then finally, how do you currently use student feedback to inform your work?
I have students write reflections. I think that when students are having issues and they come into my office, I generally feel that it's more effective for them to write in their own voice what is happening, how they feel about it, and what they feel that they need to do to move forward. And then from there, I can sort of either give some tips or some ideas, or I can also pass that on to the teacher so that they have an understanding of where that student was coming from, so they can kind of come in with a more of a formed understanding of what was going on.
Okay. Thanks. Is there anything else you would like to add about being the Dean of Students, or a message for students?
As long as you are doing your best, bringing your best self every day, nobody can take that away from you. So I think that we all are striving and learning on this path, and if we fall down, it's about how we get back up. As long as we're doing our very best every day, bringing our best self, then we're ahead of the game.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. It's been a pleasure. See you later.